Could you talk about the subconscious mind and how it would relate to business owners?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess grossly speaking, you can break it up into the conscious and the subconscious. And the stuff that the conscious mind, the one that we're using now because it has access to language and thought and planning, all of those things, has very limited reserves. It's very expensive to operate. And over the course of a day, our reserves go down. Self-control, emotional regulation, good decision making. You want to do that when you're rested and ate a good meal and have good blood sugar in your brain and all that. Whereas the subconscious, it's always on, it's always operating, everything from digestion to your heartbeat when you sleep at night. You don't have to think about that stuff. And decision making, avoiding pain, seeking pleasure, all of that underneath machinery is tirelessly working for you all the time. And so you could think of it as like our conscious mind is really on standby and it's only turned on for certain specific circumstances, whereas the subconscious is the one in charge and making most of the decisions throughout the day.
So, what tools can people use to reprogram their subconscious?
Well, I'm going to question your assumption there, Nick. Okay, that's basically saying how can the conscious reprogram all of the evolutionary stuff that's been in there for hundreds of millions of years.
Mhm.
And I think in some ways, there's a lot that we can't do. We are just a bundle of automatic reflexes and, um, past experiences. Like have you ever burned your hand on a hot stove?
Sure, you never do it again.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you done that?
Yeah,
Probably
once.
just the one
Right?
time,
Yeah.
hopefully, right?
Well,
So
I don't know, maybe a couple more times in the pizza kitchen, but not on purpose anyway.
right, exactly. But my point is, if you were to burn your hand on a hot stove, you probably wouldn't go, that's a strange smell emanating from the tip of my finger. No, you just pull your hand away.
Mm.
And so their automatic reflexes can't be overcome. And a lot of stuff that we learn the hard way, they're really in there. We're going to focus on the pain avoidance. So it's true that you can kind of tell your brain stories and the subconscious doesn't know whether they're true or false. So you can program it. So we can get to that. But one of the main things is that a lot of that automatic machinery is going to operate whether you want it to or not. And no amount of willpower or reprogramming is going to override it. That's also important to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think where I find myself is I love being able to trick the mind with the stories and being able
Mm,
to envision a bunch of different things and then they come true because the mind kind of to your point is programmed from years and years of just it's the way that the subconscious mind works. So when I'm telling it a story, we're based off of survival mode, so it'll find a way to go ahead and figure that out, so I can present anything as to it and then it starts to work. And before you know it, I start to, in my everyday life, things that I would see, maybe wouldn't see before that were already there start to pop up and I see. And that's the way that I like to use it.
absolutely. So let's talk about storytelling, as I think it's important again to understand the evolutionary reasons for stories. And they're basically two reasons that human beings have for storytelling. One is simulation. Okay, stories are kind of like secondhand experience. Um, if you read a book or you go to a movie, you kind of like you lived it in a sense without having to go through it. So there's a famous movie, Sophie's Choice, with Meryl Streep, and it's like she's in a concentration camp and she's deciding which of her two children is going to get killed. Now, hopefully, none of us will have to face that, right? But by watching that movie, we can extract the lessons of it and the learning of it without the paying that high price, right? So in the same way, storytelling lets us benefit from other people's experience without having to pay the price. So I guess it's kind of rehearsal or stimulation. And the other reason the stories are important is to reinforce the values of our cultural tribe. It's a way to make sure that we're very cohesive. We're all on the same page. You can see this in politics and stuff these days, especially. You just can't argue with people because they have their truth and they're not amenable to even direct experience. It's all about tribal cohesion, I guess you could say, and that's such an important survival thing for us to be a member of a tribe that we will even override direct experience and would rather just believe the stories that our surrounding culture tells us.